facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to my first Trash Can Tidbits of 2025. So, you've gotten to see my brand new fursuit head. I really hope you like it. Like I said though, I have no plans to discontinue my current head. I'll just switch it out for different videos and conventions, depending on how I feel. But special thanks again to Katsu Dogo for the amazing job in making me look extra mischievous. Now last time, I asked the question, what Broadway play did Alan Rickman star in that convinced John McTiernan to cast him in Die Hard? The answer is Dangerous Liaisons. Based on an 18th century French novel, the story revolves around a formerly married count and countess playing and betting on a scandalous game involving sex, seduction, and corruption among the French aristocracy. Rickman played the scheming Viscount de Valmont, who starts off as a would-be Casanova for a young woman, but ends up actually falling in love with his mark and tragic consequences ensue. Die Hard came out in 1988. The same year, a film version of Dangerous Liaisons would be released as well, which starred John Malkovich as Valmont, Glenn Close as the Marquis de Merteuil, and Michelle Pfeiffer as Madame de Treville, Valmont's intended mark. Rickman wasn't even considered to reprise his role for the movie because he wasn't an established movie actor. Well, after Die Hard, he certainly was. Now, with that address, let's get started. Today's list will be all about the man with the hat, the globe-trotting, whip-carrying archaeologist Indiana Jones. I've been enjoying the heck out of the newly released video game Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So I thought, what the hell, let's do another theme list. So, here we go with fact number 1. Did you know that Indiana Jones's costume was designed long before the movie began pre-production? Indy began life even before Star Wars entered pre-production as well, as George Lucas created both concepts around the early to mid-70s. Lucas commissioned acclaimed comic artist Jim Steranko, best known for creating Nick Fury and the agency S.H.I.E.L.D. for Marvel Comics, to draw these first concept arts for what Indiana Jones should look like. As you can see, he was bulkier in these drawings, but the look would carry over into the movies. So, in a nutshell, Lucas may have created Indiana Jones on paper, but it was Jim Steranko who first brought him to life. Fact 2. Did you know that although Indiana Jones has an intense fear of snakes, Harrison Ford actually doesn't? Before becoming an actor, Ford was a Boy Scout counselor, and one of his jobs was teaching his charges about snakes. Also, in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Indy comes across thousands of rats in an underground tomb. Ford also had no fear of rats because he kept some as pets in his same Boy Scout profession, a collection that inevitably multiplied over time. Another fun but slightly scary fact is that when Indy stares down a cobra in Raiders of the Lost Ark, there was a pane of glass placed between Ford and the snake. And in one take, the reptile reared back and spat out some venom all over the glass. You can actually make out the glass in the shot. Fact 3. Did you know that the famous scene in Raiders where Indy is fighting a big Nazi mechanic while dodging a moving aircraft was pretty much choreographed while they were filming? The scene was storyboarded, but the fight as it was originally presented didn't provide the right kind of suspense. So Steven Spielberg worked with Harrison Ford and Pat Roach, who played the mechanic, and carved out every detail of the fight, right down to how the plane's wheels should be moving. In one take, Ford accidentally fell on the path of one set of wheels which then ran right over his leg, tearing his ACL. Rather than get medical attention, he just wrapped ice over his leg and continued right on. Yet another fun fact, the pilot of the plane was played by the movie's producer, Frank Marshall. Only after all the stuntmen got sick that day. Though, I'm guessing over 100 degrees in Tunisia while wearing a heavy pilot's uniform and pretending to be unconscious in a cockpit wasn't much of a fun time for him. Fact 4. Speaking of Frank Marshall, did you know that the university where Indy teaches was named after him? It wasn't fully established until Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, but the school is called Marshall College. However, in the PC game Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, the school is called Barnett College. Whether that was a mistake by the game makers at LucasArts is anyone's guess. But either way, Marshall College has pretty much stuck. even establishing it as the college Indy teaches at in the first scenes of the recent video game Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Fact 5. Did you know that during the first writing process for Raiders of the Lost Ark, George Lucas wanted to call him Indiana Smith? Once Star Wars had come out, in an effort to steal himself from whatever reviews it might get, which were glowing, obviously, by the way, Lucas went to Hawaii. He was later joined by Steven Spielberg, who admitted that he always wanted to direct a James Bond movie, to which Lucas then said he had something better. It is true that Indy's original surname was going to be Smith. Spielberg hated the name, and then Lucas immediately said, "Well, how about Indiana Jones?" And Spielberg said, "Sure, that's fine." And as we all know, for The Last Crusade, Spielberg would later cast Sean Connery, the first actor to have played James Bond, as Indy's father, Professor Henry Jones Sr. Fact 6. Did you know that the idea of Paramount producing the movies and the first shot of each movie being a recreation of the famous mountain logo was not lost on Steven Spielberg? When he was a child, first getting into filmmaking, the name of his production company was Paramount Productions, a pun on his own name. Spielberg means Play Mountain in German, complete with his own artistic take on the mountain logo. For every movie up until Disney bought Lucasfilm and released Dial of Destiny, he would always try to find some way to incorporate the Paramount logo into the opening shot as a result. Fact 7. Did you know that, contrary to popular belief, Raiders of the Lost Ark is actually not the first movie in the series? Raiders may have been the first movie released, but if you really want to go in chronological order in which the movies are set, Temple of Doom is technically the first movie in the series. That movie takes place in 1935, and Raiders takes place in 1936. The rest of the movies are released and arranged in chronological order after that one. So in a matter of speaking, Temple of Doom is really the first movie and Raiders is the sequel. Fact 8. Did you know that the infamous and tension-filled rope bridge scene in Temple of Doom did not feature anybody falling to their deaths? Well, nobody human anyway. With Indy caught in the middle of the bridge and thuggy cultists on both sides advancing towards him, he uses his machete to cut the ropes and plunge whoever is not holding onto something to their deaths above alligator-infested waters. First things first, the film crew built a rope bridge across a real gorge in Sri Lanka. For the bridge's collapse, they rigged a small explosive charge in the middle, and the stunt actors were actually life-size dummies that would flail their arms and legs as they were falling, which was relatively new at the time and added to the excitement. The shot went off perfectly on the first take. Another fun tidbit regarding the making of that scene is that Steven Spielberg was terrified to venture out beyond about 10 feet. Harrison Ford, on the other hand, to show him it was perfectly safe, sprinted right across at full speed. Indeed, the only time the bridge came apart was when they actually destroyed it themselves in the movie. Fact 9. Did you know that there's a hidden Easter egg to one of LucasArts' other franchises in the game Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine? In the game, which was the first 3D entry in the franchise released in 1999, Indy goes on an adventure with the newly formed CIA around the world, searching for parts for an ancient machine originally built for the Tower of Babel, trying to keep them out of the hands of the Soviets. In the final level, titled Ethereum, there is a hidden tunnel that Indy can walk through, and you can access a secret area where he turns into Guybrush Threepwood, the hero of LucasArts' Monkey Island series. The game came out 1 year before Monkey Island had its first 3D entry, Escape from Monkey Island. Fact 10. Did you know that the minecart ride in Temple of Doom was originally planned to be used in Raiders of the Lost Ark? There were quite a few scenes that were written that were to be seen in Raiders, another example being the river raft sequence. But the one that was fully fleshed out and storyboarded from the beginning was the exhilarating minecart chase in the movie's third act. One reason it was not used in Raiders was because the filmmakers could not find a perfect place to use it, as there weren't any scenes that took place in any underground mine. They were able to resurrect it for Temple of Doom. Most of the chase, when it's really going fast, was filmed with models and miniatures, because it would have obviously been too dangerous for the actors. But then again, the way Temple of Doom actually is in tone, danger is really an understatement. And here's today's trivia question. We're moving away from Indiana Jones to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Broadway actor Jack Haley is probably best known for playing the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. I've stated a few times that the original actor who was cast in the part, Buddy Ebsen, developed a near-fatal allergic reaction to his aluminum-based makeup. It was a different time in Hollywood in terms of makeup application, that's for sure. Haley was brought in at the last minute, but despite lots of hard effort and endless makeup application, he managed to finish the movie. My question to you is, true or false? Jack Haley did all of his own singing in The Wizard of Oz. And there we go for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Brought a little variety to it, don't you think? Theme lists are pretty interesting to do. I should do it more often. Would you like me to do another theme list in the future? Let me know in the comments what you would like me to try for a future list. And as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell to be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.